Hello guys and welcome back. So this is the final video in the section 3, and in this video we will be implementing phone sign-in. So let's get started with that. I'm in the app component HTML right now, and let me just wrap this column here and this column right here, and then I have the phone login with phone button right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this whole row with a section for logging myself with the phone. Okay, so I'll create a new row here, or let's say I'll create an ng template again, and inside this ng template I'm going to need a form, or maybe not a form but just a div with a class of form control, and inside this div I'm going to have a label and an input field with a class of this would be form group, and this would be form control. Okay, and let's wrap this up a bit, and this is for phone number. Let me specify the name of this as phone number, and also ng model, bind it to a variable named phone number. Now I don't really have a phone number variable here, so I'm going to create that, and let's specify this as of type string. Let's save that. Now below this I'll be needing a div with an ID, and we'll see what exactly is happening here. So let's name this ID as reCAPTCHA container, and below this I would need another label, or below this I'll be needing a button with a class of button and button primary as well as button block. This would say send OTP, and let's save that. Now once OTP is sent, I'll create an horizontal rule, and below this I would be needing these buttons as well, one for the OTP. So this one is for OTP, the name of this is OTP. This is also binded to a variable named OTP in the template, which is again going to be of type string. And finally okay, we have one division over here which should not have been the case. Okay, like so, and I'll just wrap this properly. Now I don't really need this reCAPTCHA instance or this division over here, so I'm going to get rid of that. Maybe I'd be needing one for the form control, so div with a class of form -group. Inside this I'll have a form control. Okay, so right now this template is not really visible, but we want it to be visible if the mode is phone sign-in. So let's also create another variable, phone sign-in, and by default this is false, and I'll create another method that toggles phone sign in. So this dot phone sign in equal to not of this dot phone sign in, like so. Now what will happen is, if I'll specify an ng if over here, so if phone sign in, then we don't really need to see this. So if not of phone sign in, then we will see this, else we will see phone section. So let me just copy that. I'll wrap this div, and for this ng template I'll specify a template variable name called phone. Now once I click on the phone button that we had here for login with phone, I need to toggle on the click of it, I need to call the toggle phone sign in method. Okay, and inside this, for this particular phone section, I also need another button with a class of button and button primary, as well as button hyphen block, and this would be the button that says cancel. And in this case as well, again I'm going to bind to the click event of it, and it is going to call toggle phone sign in, like so. Let's save this and see how this looks like on the application end. So it says that it's disconnected. Let me just reload it. Okay, now if I click on login with phone, then I see this section right here. So I have a send OTP button and a cancel button. Now once the user types in OTP, then I need to also have a verify OTP button that I don't really have as of now, so I'll create one. So after this input, I'm going to have a verify OTP, and this text is going to be verify OTP. Let's just get rid of the click event handler as of now. Let's save this and see how this looks like. So when I click on login with phone, I see this. If I click on cancel, then I should navigate back to this section. Okay, so far so good. Now let's implement the actual functionality for phone sign in. So to do that, we need to have access to the window object, and accessing the window object directly is not considered as a good practice. So we need to wrap that inside a service. So I'll create a service for that, ng g for generate, s for service, and inside the services folder or let's say inside the common folder, I'm going to create a window service, and this is going to take some time. Meanwhile, I'm going to open app module, and I'm going to add this to the providers array as well. So window service, and we will have to import it at the top. So import window service. I'll cut it from here and paste it over here like so. Let's save that. Alright, now I'm going to open the window service and I'll get rid of the constructor. I don't really need that. I'm going to create a getter here that returns window ref, and inside that I'm simply going to return the window object like so. Alright, so far so good. Now inside the app component, I'm going to inject this window service as a dependency. So let's do that. Private window service, which is of type window service, and that was imported at the top like so. Alright, now I'm going to create a window reference over here. Let's specify its type as any, and inside the constructor I'm going to assign the window ref to this window service dot window ref like so. Now inside the ng on init, I'll no longer be subscribing to the auth state because that is something that we are doing inside the template itself, so we don't really need this here. I'm going to get rid of this, and now inside the ng on init I'm going to create a reCAPTCHA verifier. Okay, and this is going to be an instance of auth dot reCAPTCHA verifier. To this we need to pass in a container, so this will be this container right here that we have specified. So I'll pass in that as a string, and we can also pass in some other configuration or some other parameters like so. So the other parameters that we have are the size and the callback parameter. So we'll specify the size as normal and we'll specify the callback as well. So size is normal. There's also a hidden size, but we won't be using that. We would be using the normal size parameter, and then we also have a callback which gets response like so, and this gets some response which we are not really concerned about as of now, but we will be doing something in here to do. Okay, and after that the next step would be to render this reCAPTCHA verifier. So let's do that. So this dot window ref dot reCAPTCHA verifier dot render, that's going to be my method. And now this render method that we have right here, let's specify this type as auth dot reCAPTCHA verifier. Probably this will help us get some intelligence, but it says that the prototype of reCAPTCHA verifier is not assignable to the type of reCAPTCHA verifier, so let's get rid of that eventually. And then we are going to render it like so inside the ng on init itself. So let's now see how it looks like in the application. I have some issues here which says that reCAPTCHA container is either not found or it is already contains some inner elements. and let's see why that is happening. Okay, so I guess the issue is because we are referring to a tag inside the template which is not generated at the time it is being referred. So ideally, to fix that, we should be placing this call and not inside here, but instead inside the ng after view init. Okay, so I'll just cut this from here and paste it over here like so. Now I'll also implement the after view init interface like so, and let's go back to the application to see if we are still getting that error. So looks like we are still getting that error. Let's check why. Alright, so I guess we would still be getting that error because while this is loading, that particular component won't really be inside the view. So let's, for the time being, enable this and make this as true by default, and let's now see if that works without giving us any error. Alright, so it's now working and we are seeing the CAPTCHA component over here, and this works as expected. So now let's try to implement a few more things here. So we need the send OTP button to be enabled only once the CAPTCHA is solved. So let's do that. Enable OTP, or let's say disable OTP send button, and let's set this to true initially, but once the OTP is resolved, then in that case we will enable this. So let's set this to false in this case. Also, let's inside this phone section, let's disable this by binding it to the property disabled. Let's save, and now right now this particular button is disabled, but once I check this, and let me also type in the number, this will get enabled. And now on the click of the send OTP button, I need to send the OTP to the user. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call a method from here, and let's name this send OTP, and I already will be having the phone number of the user in ng model, so I can now simply call afauth.auth and sign in with phone number. Now this gives us a confirmation result, which means that the confirmation result would be received once the OTP is sent out successfully. So at this point we will be storing the confirmation result on the window object like so. Let's save that, and this should be passed to the then method of it like so. we also need to pass in a phone number, so we will be doing that like so. And let's see what the error is. It expected 2 arguments but it got 1. Yeah, and that's because the second argument that it expected was this reCAPTCHA verifier instance, so we'll pass it that as well. Okay, now once the OTP is sent, the user will type that OTP in and we'll have to verify that. So once the user clicks on the verify OTP button, we will be calling windowref dot confirmation result dot. There's a method on this named confirm, and to this we'll pass in the OTP, and what this returns is the user's credential object. So we can then listen for it and we can do the needful accordingly. So this is going to return to us the user credential like so. Let's save that, and now let's also bind to these buttons right here. So verify OTP's click event would be verify OTP, and for send OTP, the button that we have right here, we will be again listening to the click event, and then we'll call the send OTP method right here. Let's save that and go back to the application. Now let me just type in a number, and I'm not a robot. Let's click on send OTP, and I should have gotten an OTP on my phone, so let me check that. So the OTP that I got is 794568. So 794568. Now if I click on verify OTP, then it is going to verify the OTP and it is going to log me in. As you can see, the user credential that we have right here would be having a phone number, and this was the phone number that we used. Once I log out, I'm going to get back to this page right here, and if I click on cancel, then it is going to redirect me back to this page. Now we still have that issue wherein we were getting that error saying that this particular component or this particular element is not present on the DOM, but yeah, we will figure it out once we are working and refactoring the code. So that's something that we'll be doing in the 4th section. So stay tuned. I'll see you guys in there. Bye.